everybody. Hello. I'm Aminata Kanbalde, and welcome to the second season of the Ignition Hour, where we bring to you great entrepreneurs in an effort of helping you be ignited by their journeys and experiences. Whether you are young entrepreneurs or considering embarking on that path. This game changer that is the Ignition Hour is brought to you by Craving for Development in collaboration with the 50/50 Group and ATAX, University of Sierra Leone, and is powered by Mitchcom, that is an internet provider that makes sure that we have high-speed internet at the Ignition Hour series. That being said, I would like to invite all of us to project ourselves and to imagine an Africa where the driving force of our youth will be courage, engagement, and determination. At the Ignition Hour, we are on a mission of making all that happen, and we are just getting started. Because we realize that in Africa we have great challenges, big challenges, that we need to face. And for us to face it, the reality is we need to empower our youth. We need to equip them with what it takes for the future to be brighter than what it is now. So as of this edition, we are going to discuss technological breakthrough, innovations as a gateway to a brighter future. And by the way, this is the second time we are discussing on technology. And I think that's a proof of its prominence and of the importance that technology has among our economy, or the importance it should have. It should have. So that being said, we also need to discuss this issue because of the fact that it's not nice to hear, but our countries are lagging far behind when it comes to use of ICT, existing technology, and even to the creation of an innovative culture, innovation culture. So those are the reasons why we found it very interesting and important to bring again the topic of technology. Okay, so we are glad to have amongst us two great entrepreneurs who are Madam Aminata Doumbia, who is the country director for Africa Clean Energy and the co-founder of Masada Waste Management Sierra Leone Limited. Yeah. And Mr. Edmund Noni, who is the founder of Track Your Build. So we have to first take time, listen to their great biographies, amazing ones, and then come back to this discussion.
Born in Port Loko 1975 and briefly raised in Kono, Aminata Doumbia is the eldest of 3 children. She was raised by her uncle and aunt's family and schooled in Koidu Town, Eastern Sierra Leone, and attended the United Methodist Church Girls Secondary School and did her first form at Koidu Girls Secondary School. Life wasn't the easiest for young Aminata, as she was tasked with having to help support the family by selling goods such as fried plantains, popcorn, peppermint, etc. at the local market after school every day. This, however, helped to hone and shape her work ethic and character towards the person that she is to become. At the age of 13, Ami moved to the United States of America to join her mother in California. She would spend the rest of her youth and adult life in the U.S. She studied at Oak Grove High School in Silicon Valley and later went to San Diego State University, where she would attain a Bachelor's of Arts degree in International Business and Finance in 1999. In 2002, Aminata made her first trip back to Sierra Leone after having left in 1988, 17 years after her initial departure. This visit was monumental and symbolic on so many levels as it sowed the seeds of her imminent return, which would happen in 2004. It was out of this passion that the burning desire to practically live in Africa and be a part of the socio-economic transformation that is set to happen on the continent that propelled her towards making the decision to live and work on the continent instead of living a far-fetched romanticized notion in the US. Aminata Doumbia is a change agent and a social entrepreneur passionate about energy access and the use of distributed renewable energy to achieving universal energy access goals in Africa. She is also the country manager with Coffee, Tetra Tech for the Africa Clean Energy, a UK-funded initiative, and the previous national campaign director for Power for All in Sierra Leone. Madame Doumbia is also the CEO of BSI Sierra Leone Limited, provider of service and virtual offices and business consultancy services to investors coming into Sierra Leone since 2001. And Pinnacle Marketing Consulting Firm, provider of marketing communications and advertising services since 2008. She is a fervent entrepreneur, creating and running sustainable businesses in Sierra Leone for the past decade, one of which is the nationally renowned waste management company, Masada Waste Management Sierra Leone Limited, a waste management and waste conversion company partnering with the government of Sierra Leone and Freetown City Council to provide waste management services to residents in Freetown, and that currently has a workforce of over 200 employees. Aminata has extensive experience in working directly with both the private and public sectors, and brings a strong track record of proven project delivery, communications, a demonstrated ability to build relationships, and a clear passion for socially sustainable businesses. She serves on several corporate boards as a non-executive director, the board of Access Bank Sierra Leone and the board of AFOD Sierra Leone Limited, African Foundation for Development. Edmond Noni studied at Fura Bay College, where he got his bachelor in engineering and mechanical maintenance. He is also a member of Sierra Leone Institution of Engineers, took part in the Tony Elumelu Entrepreneurship Program, and is the founder of a construction technology company, Track Your Build, and also the project coordinator for the National Drone Corridor Sierra Leone, being developed by DSTI and UNICEF, providing high-level technical inputs and project management support. Authoring of position papers in various drone use cases in West Africa, Edmond is passionate about contributing to Africa closing the infrastructure gap. Track Your Build uses drones, satellites, and cloud computing to offer services in construction development and management. The company was launched in Sierra Leone in 2016 and has since extended to Nigeria, leading a team of engineers, geologists, scientists, and drone specialists in offering surveying and mapping using global navigation satellite systems and drones. Track Your Build actively participated in the aerial assessment of the landslide disaster that happened in 2017. Track Your Build also employs the first Sierra Leone female drone engineer, Hafsaturaki Sise, who is presently representing Sierra Leone at the African Drone and Data Academy. In 2019, Track Your Build, along with 9 Sierra Leonean startups, competed in the Seed Stars World Competition in Freetown, held at Sensi Tech Hub, which they won. and are now part of the 3-month investment readiness program and are representing Sierra Leone at the Seed Stars Africa Summit in Johannesburg. Track Your Build became the first Sierra Leone company to present at the Paris International Air Show. Track Your Build secured a new contract for provision of unmanned aerial contract vehicle, drone and satellite services to UNOPS in Sierra Leone. Edmund himself is a great advocate of innovating despite the constraints and of being very curious of discovering new and exciting things.
Is Aminata Doumbia and Edmund Noni for you guys. I know that we are all being ignited by the amazing biographies that we just heard about. So Aminata, would you please tell us more about what Africa Clean Energy and Masada are doing?
Sure. Thank you so much for this opportunity. This is a great platform. Africa Clean Energy Technical Assistance Facility, I will be using ASTAF as we discuss for short. It's a UK government-funded program, and it's in 14 countries, of which Sierra Leone is the first of 7 priority countries that the program is focusing on. And as a country manager, what I do is I work with the Ministry of Energy, the government of Sierra Leone, to help create an enabling environment for the enhancement of solar home systems in our rural communities. As we all know, Sierra Leone is very much faced with challenges in energy. So the Africa Clean Energy Facility is focusing on distributed renewable energy or decentralized renewable energy that we can take quickly and deploy quickly in our rural communities. So the program allows me to work with government to create enabling environment policies, to collaborate and coordinate with other similar donor programs so that we can efficiently support governments and also work with private sector to make sure that we get in the right companies that are adhering to quality standards so that when our rural poor communities buy these products, they last. So at the end of the day, they're off-grid electrification solutions because we know that the grid, which is a national electricity and transmission line, is not going to get to our rural communities in the next 5, 10, or even 15, 20 years, because we're still griping with that in Freetown. So the easiest way is to take advantage of technology that the solar technology is providing us with. So yes, ACE is to help bridge the electricity deficit gap.
Okay. So tell us a bit about Masada. That is also, I think, transforming waste
yes, we intend to.
Energy.
So it's very aspirational. I think most people here know about Masada, either heard or are receiving Masada services. We started about 6 years ago working with the Freetown City Council, but our aspirations, I say aspirations because we're yet to actually turn waste to energy, but we will for the end of the year. There's a container, if you were to go down on Aberdeen by the Aberdeen Women's Center, there's a container there which is a placeholder for the anaerobic digestion technology or waste to energy technology that will be coming in the next couple of months. And we will take that waste. We've been working on it. It takes a long time to deploy these projects because you got to raise financing, you got to make sure the specs are right and that they're adaptable to the local situation. So that project will then supply the Aberdeen Women's Center electricity. Not only electricity will come out of it as an output, we'll also get heat for hot water and also compost for fertilizer, so for urban planting.
That's amazing. Yeah. So Edmund, could you please walk us through what Track Your Build is doing?
And it's very exciting to talk to people all the time about what we're doing and to also learn from these types of audiences and to have a great exchange. So Track Your Build is a data and engineering company. So we recognize the gap that there is in having high quality projects and project support in Sierra Leone. And as you pointed out, we're a team now of several people, all those people having specific capacities that they bring to the team, ranging from civil engineering, mechanical engineering, electrical and power engineering. And we're taking our traditional skills and improving them or adding to them by using new technologies to offer solutions in a way that is faster and more cost efficient. So we've been operating since 2016. We support private sector, NGOs, and also private citizens. The core problem that we started out trying to solve was the fact that some people living abroad want to build a house back home, but they send money back home and it gets misspent, or what they want to be constructed isn't constructed. So that's where the name comes from, Track Your Build. With the initial idea to go to people's sites, track what is happening, and then give them feedback so they can know that their monies are being protected. Moving on from that, we started using the different tools that we're using now, and we found out that the introduction of data into engineering is not just important for someone who's building a house and they want data about their house. It's important about the government. It's important for the government who are building roads and they need information about the roads. It's important for funders who are building hospitals and they need to know that the hospital project is moving forward properly. So we started with one problem, a very simple problem, and initially using very simple methods. But as time has gone on, we've added a lot more technology and innovation around what we do. And we've even shifted from a services company to a data company. So that's where we are.
That is super nice and super daring, especially in a country like the one we are in. Because that's the reason why I even thought that you are such a person who advocates, and that's stemmed from our discussion, like advocates for innovating or even starting an entrepreneurial journey, even despite the constraints that we have in our country. That being said, I know that both of your stories are very inspiring for our young people. And I do presume that maybe you achieving both these journeys is due to either an early exposure to technology or an innate curiosity that you may have. So if each one of those is the case, how do you think we can help those young people out there to be exposed early to technology and also to have access to it so that they can become those great, let's say, innovators that we would like to witness happen? Ladies first.
And as Edmund mentioned, it was out of the need to solve a problem, a very basic problem, that got him to start thinking technology. And I think, you know, as young people, we need to be curious in terms of how we, you know, solve problems. I think all the Bill Gates of this world, or the guy, you know, at Facebook, Zuckerberg, I think they are where they're at because it was a need to just solve a problem that they're faced or that they see, and provide a solution. So I think that's how it's just to be curious. As young people, we need to, you know, push curiosity. We need to look within our environment and create and look at different ways of solving problems. And for me, because also I grew up in the Bay Area, as you mentioned, and that's really the tech hub, right? It's Silicon Valley. So I was surrounded by technology, and in fact, you know, because technology was now advancing, a lot of things became obsolete, right? They became redundant. And, you know, as Africans and as young Africans, I think what, you know, the advent of technology allows us or affords us now is to be able to leapfrog a lot of things, right? You know, we notice that we never really matured in terms of landline telephony, but because of the advent of mobile phones, we quickly didn't even need to be wiring all over the place anymore. And so in my capacity as an energy access practitioner, it's how we now leapfrog, you know, using new innovation in solar lighting, in waste to energy. And then also in looking at ways to self-generate your own power. The grid is nice, it's there, yes, but we can also create our own energy sources by the sun and having decentralized solutions in our homes. So I think we really need to be curious, and we need to look within our communities where the problems lie and look at ways to solve. And I think that's what triggers technology.
That's great, Aminata. Thank you for that. Edmund, would you like to add something?
Sure. I think in terms of how do we expose more young people to technology, the responsibility lies with society, but also lies with the young people. So in my younger years, I volunteered to go and to be part of community projects. Or there have been innovation camps or innovation events, one-day events that you go and join. What you're getting from it is knowledge and exposure to something that you don't always have access to. Innovate Sierra Leone had a program in 2012 that I took part in. The Institution of Engineers had several programs in between 2009 and 2011 that, again, you hear about as a college student or as a student or as just a young person, and you say, let me go to this event, let me go to this symposium, let me hear what other people are doing, and let me gain some knowledge and let me gain some exposure. And then you hopefully have the opportunity to be part of programs that give you more in-depth exposure. So, for example, you brought up Reiki going to the Africa Drone and Data Academy. So, this is a 3-month program in Malawi that she's leaving for in January, which will give her very deep exposure to drone fabrication and data analytics. But she didn't get into that program automatically. Her name wasn't picked out of a hat, or someone didn't pick up the phone and say, hey, we're inviting you, come here. I always encourage our staff to look out for these opportunities and apply. And whilst they're writing the applications, if they need any guidance or any mentorship, we're always there to provide it. But you have to actively look out for these opportunities, and you have to actively apply. Especially if you've decided, I'm interested in this topic, then you just go on quick Google search and you'll find out that maybe there are 10 or 15 opportunities around that topic. And you start applying and start figuring out, what do I need to do to qualify to be chosen?
Yeah, I just want to, buttress that, but it's very important that you start, and that's why Ignition Hour, and the name is so apt, right? Just start. Just be curious, ask questions. And now we have Google, right? You don't need to go physically to a library. The world is literally at your fingertips. So just be curious and just, ask.
That's great. That's great. I love the fact that you mentioned the curiosity part of it. So the same as Edmund has mentioned. What we have, I think, all seen and witnessed is that curiosity is the trait of character that our younger generation is lacking. And that's the reason why at start we mentioned the fact that curiosity needs to be one of those driving forces for our younger generation. How to have a nationally led innovation culture, and that would stem either from most of the private sector coming together and organizing those, or even government as an enabling body.
Yeah, actually, it's a good observation, because I really think as a lot of these programs are being implemented, it's also good to interlink the various, obviously, institutions. obviously there's the National Technical Vocational Institute. We worked with them closely to work on a curriculum for renewable energy. So, you know, it's hard to answer the question in that, again, they have to be curious. They have to understand what's happening around them and ask and create that platform. It's not going to be given to them, you understand? Just like you mentioned, your staff was able to, yeah, your staff went and looked for the opportunity. You offered the help, but you have to go and look. You know, it's not going to come, it's not going to be given to you. You just have to be curious and you have to put it into action.
So, where we, both of us sitting in the private sector, I don't know to what extent we can project what a national strategy might be like. I think we can aspire to what we think would help. I think what would help would be governments creating platforms for high school students to be able to be exposed, maybe innovation fairs, government encouraging private sector, maybe through tax breaks, encouraging private sector to have apprenticeships for young people or to engage with young people in some way which, you know, affords them some sort of advantages. Because private sector will always be looking for, you know, it's the main aim of private sector is to be commercial. So, you know, government can incentivize that or ignite that by having some forms of incentives for this to take place. In my work with DSTI, I know that they are trying to do some level of ecosystem mapping and community engagement, where they take that in the next, coming up, and there'll be some type of engagement and kind of open platforms for people to be exposed. I'm excited about the Sierra Leone ecosystem. You have new organizations like Mr. Francis Stevens' Innovation Access, where they're doing a lot of things, and Sensi Tech Hub is also doing a lot of things. There have been several hackathons, there have been several open days and symposiums held around innovation and around technology. So I think we have the right beginnings for something very interesting and for the ecosystem to grow. I mean, like you mentioned, Silicon Valley, it didn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
You know, you had Bill Gates' generation where they were innovating in semiconductors, and they were like the early innovators, or even before that, kind of Compaq innovating against IBM, and then the next wave came where they were now innovating around desktop computers, and then the next wave came where it was like the dot-com bubble, and then now you have the next wave again where they're looking at AI and things like that. So it's always a progression, and it starts from somewhere. So we started, and I think over the next 20 years we'll see new types of entrepreneurship and innovation, and I think we're going ways up.
Yeah, that's very hopeful, and I do also share the hope, because as you have said, I have seen so many innovations stemming from the culture that is existing, and that answers somehow your concern about the private sector not being able to maybe do much due to the fact that they're more commercial. But then we see that even the Sensi Tech Hub and the others that you have mentioned are also private, but they are trying to bring about the culture that is needed. And I'm also very happy that you mentioned DSTI, which shows that the government is at least willing to place something that is going to pioneer and accompany the mapping of that ecosystem, which is super great. So the next issue I would like us to tackle is the curiosity about how can technology help, and that's for both of you too, how can technology help solve issues that went from health to education to waste management and let's say to the diversification of the economy. how can technology help in all those sectors and the likes?
Technology should be at the center of all of this, right? Because it helps to enhance efficiency. It helps to, to break down walls, right? You get around traditional and conventional ways of doing things. In fact, my focus as an energy access practitioner is that, energy is an enabler, right? If you don't have energy, you really can't focus on, healthcare. You can't do a lot of things. So focusing on energy is almost like, focusing on technology. So, and I think, technology cuts, it's the bloodline of all of those things that you mentioned. So it needs to be, a key part of all of, as we implement all of these, work in these sectors.
Well, that question is there are so many different answers to that question, and even you can go use case by use case and have different solutions. So I'll just keep it a bit general and just say generally we see, or kind of the definition of technology is the use of a tool or use of a method to multiply the force that you're applying and to multiply the resource that you initially put in. So that's where we need to identify what appropriate technologies for this particular time or any other time after this will best leapfrog where it is that we are to get us where we want to be. So we could have said, let's put in all the money and time to push out the landline. But we didn't. We identified the fact that we can much quickly get communication to the very last village in our country by using mobile phones. So it's the opportunity to sit down and say, okay, in health, there are communities that are 3 hours away from the nearest tarred road. It's going to take us let's say best case scenario, 2 years to have all of those feeder roads up. In the meantime, they still need medical supplies. Okay, can we use drones to deliver medicines to those people? So I'm not an advocate for use of technology for technology's sake. And we always ask ourselves in our company, I don't just want to say, oh, we're using a drone or we're using AI or we're using this just because it's cool. It should be the best possible method to solve that problem at that time. And I've had several clients who've come in and said, oh, I have this to do and I want us to use a drone to do it. And we said, no, you don't need a drone. You can do it with a ground-based camera. It'll give you it'll give you the type of information that you actually need. It's about understanding what each type of technology does and where it's appropriate to use it so that it actually solves the problem and amplifies what it is you're trying to achieve.
Yeah, that's great. And the understanding now I have after both explanations is that not only you don't advocate using technology for the sake of using it and just because it's cool, but to solve problems or even to save lives in the cases of maybe helping people who are in remotely situated areas for them to reach maybe health services or even drugs or things that they would not have access to at that period. Thank you for those answers. That being said, we would like to take a short break and back to you, Esther.
Good afternoon, all. Good afternoon, Aminata. Thank you, Ignitional, for having us and for inviting us to be one of your vendors here. I am Mahawa Regina Hyde, the CEO of Chelman's Design. Chelman's Design is an African-inspired brand. We started in 2015, just after graduation from Jalai University. The name Chelman's Design is a combination of my two names, Rachel and Mahawa. The first 4 letters of Rachel and the last letter of Rachel and the first 2 letters of Mahawa. Chalmers Design, we are into bridal accessories, handmade kids clothing, African-inspired accessories for male and female. We do bow ties, cufflinks, necklaces, hair products, hair accessories, so for kids and for adults. In addition to this, we do take deep pride women in our community because we are in the Godrich community. These deep pride women are mainly to mine of stones. So we took time, bring together about 5 of them that we give training to, and most of those items have been done and supervised, have been done by them and supervised by my team, my team and I. So we have a source here, you can patronize us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chalmers Design, for this beautifully made Sierra Leonean product. Thank you so much. So back to our discussion here. Aminata, I would like to know, like, as an actor in this waste management field, I know that there are so many young people out there who are very brilliant entrepreneurs in the field of recycling, upcycling, and the like. So how best can you, you and your people in your sector, how can you bring about all those actors to help them not only be, let's say, captured by Masada or Africa Clean Energy, but how can we help capitalize all those, that youth and the vibrant energy out there? How can we help them?
Actually, we have a lot of youth, well, primarily young men. You don't see a lot of women in waste management. I don't know why. I'm a waste manager and I'm female. So you have a lot of youth that have organized themselves. In fact, the Freetown City Council, you know, the mayor had worked on Operation Clean Freetown before she was a mayor, and it's the same mentality that she's carrying on with now, where she's working with clusters of youth in various communities. In fact, what we do as the bigger companies is that we support those youths by giving them what we call a transit dump site. So we then take the waste to the landfill. But there are huge opportunities in terms of recycling, upcycling, and, you know, adding value to the waste, you know, in the sector. So for us, as we're rolling out the waste to energy, there will be sorting. Obviously, we're encouraging all of our customers to sort at source. However, we will have additional sorting centers where you can now separate the organic waste, because the organic waste is what we need to turn the electricity. But you'll find that there are all kinds of waste, right? And actually, waste is really not waste. Waste is money, and waste is valuable. So things like the plastics are being separated. I know Sensi Tech Hub actually is working on a plastic recycling center. We're not doing plastics, we're just focusing on the organic waste, but there are a lot of other companies and a lot of other things that can be done within the sector, and I think you know, young men and women, our youth, can actually get involved in the space.
Thank you so much, Aminata. And thank you also for mentioning the role of women within the waste management system, because that brings me to my question about women and technology. Why are women always occupying the second role when it comes to technology?
I don't even know why, because the future is female. You understand? I mean, we all use our mobile phones, right? That is technology. We use our mobile phones to connect with family and friends. So I think, you know, women tend to get afraid. You know, predominantly you see a lot of men in the tech world, but you know, most of the advances that are being made now in technology are women. So we should not be afraid. You know, we're using technology. Why can't we be part of making technology? So,
yeah, curious to know what you think about that.
Women in technology.
Yeah.
So we've been fortunate to be able to expand what we do to another country. So the company is structured such that I'm founder and director, and there's a CEO in Sierra Leone and there's a CEO in Nigeria. So our Nigeria CEO, her name is Chioma Okpara. So she's CEO of TYB Nigeria. Like, she does business meetings. She gets deals done, gets work done. Our VP for business development in Nigeria, Adriana, also takes. So we have in our management in Nigeria, it's actually 2 women, 1 guy. In Sierra Leone, our CEO is Samuel, but the general manager is Ricky, who's going for the training. So we very much encourage women within our organization, and I think it helps. For me, I come from a background where my father's a physicist and my mother studied chemistry and mathematics. So from since being born, I've been in a family where I see women in STEM and women in technology. So it's quite natural for me. I think that women in STEM and women in technology, they're in many cases the opportunities are not, the doors are not easily opened. However, in all cases where I've seen, they perform just as well, if not better in some cases. There is a statistic where female project managers actually execute their projects on time and below budget more than male project managers. That being said, every single woman I know in STEM, and like my CEO in Nigeria, she's CEO because she's good. Yeah. She's not CEO because, I wanted a female CEO to tick some box. She's good. So it doesn't take the responsibility away from women to be good.
Right.
You're not going to be hired because you're good. You're going to be hired because you're good. So be good. And the world is changing to the point where more and more corporate organizations are not favoring one sex over the other. So just be good and just prove yourself and you'll get there.
And I believe from the Fortune 500 companies, majority of the CEOs of those companies are women. So women, when you're good, we really are good. So really apply yourself. They're not going to give you the opportunity only because you're a female. The opportunity will be based on merit, right? But you have to be at the table. If it's just men that are applying, they're not going to just pluck a woman in there, you understand? So you have to apply yourself and have a seat at the table. Get yourself to the table. In fact, own the table. Make the table.
I agree. Something happened, just to add to that. Something happened this year. Earlier, we organized a symposium called InfraCon, where we invited engineering students and engineering companies to the Radisson for a one-day kind of open house and symposium. And part of it was a competition for graduate engineers for them to apply for, I think we gave them 15 million each, for them to apply for 1,500 each to fund their final year engineering project. Out of all the applications we got, we didn't have a single female applicant. And we obviously wanted to give an award to, if it was all female, fine. But again, based on merit, if it was 3 really strong female applications that won, we would have been fine with that. But we had 0. So what we ended up with was 10 male applicants on the short list, and then obviously 3 male applicants won. So it's not just about the future is female and there are opportunities out there now. Take the initiative to apply and take part.
So it's not about women being discriminated against, but it's women discriminating themselves.
Yeah.
Due to the fact that they're not having the attitude of a go-getter, and then they don't equip themselves with what it takes for them to be, as both of you have said, for them to have the merit, But at the same time, when they have the merit to go out there and compete with those men, as he said, to be able to be on the list of those people who are proposing their services and their skills is what we are lacking. So here we have a call for action for all women to prepare themselves for the change that is